one of the things that's kept me involved in integration is the simple fact that most of the time, every integration you approach is different.
Yeah.
Because you're dealing with different systems on the end. And I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that people have moved to best of breed for like their ERP system or their CRM system or their accounting and things like that. So the one thing that you have to do is hook those systems together.
Yeah.
And that's where every time you go to do something, it's something new. It's not typically, you're not going, so like if you work for like a Dynamics or a Salesforce type company, you are doing the same type of integrations every time. But just as a consultant, you're going into different environments all the time. You're doing different integrations, those kind of things every time you're doing something. And that's what keeps me basically enthused with integration, is that you're always solving a slightly different problem.
Yeah.
Yes. That's why we all
And I just want to back up where you said like the first time you actually started looking at BizTalk, for me it didn't sound like you were looking for a specific technique. You were looking for solving a problem.
Yes, it was wanting to have something that had some built-in queuing. So the early BizTalk worked really good with MSMQ. And that worked because the client, they had NT4 servers at each store. So they could pull the transactions in, throw them into a message queue, and then if the communications were down for a couple of days, it wasn't a problem. Then they would come through later on.
Yeah.
So
yes.
it actually, the design of that system actually caused more problems, but because the point of sale they were using, if you went and searched for a transaction yesterday, it dumped all of yesterday's transactions back in to the system.
Yeah.
So you had to do some deduping and things like that to get it. But it was really decided at that point in time, we really had a choice of either writing something in Visual C++, early .NET, or SQL.
Yeah.
And the fact that there wasn't an easy way to connect message queue to SQL at that point. So that we ended up doing.
You have SSIS in the pattern there, and you can use it for some certain scenarios. It's
exactly. Yeah, and I haven't done a lot of SSIS, but it's that batch side of things. But what they wanted is instead of a daily transaction feed from these, they wanted hourly.
Yeah.
Because their business was very driven by the profit margins of the items. So some of the items had very low profit margins and high throughput.
Yeah.
Other items had really high profit margins but low throughput.
Yeah.
So they couldn't look at the daily sales numbers and know whether they made money or not.
Yeah.
They wanted to look at those as they came through.
That's a good value of the integration. That's why we exist. We try to also can be money in the bank as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I still think though that the hardest thing I'm coming up with on integration, and this is a BizTalk problem, this is a Azure integration problem, any of those, is mapping the data. One of the recent projects I've been on, we're up to version 14 of the mapping specifications.
Yeah.
Because they keep changing their mind on what they want and how they want it.
It's funny that you said it, because I mean, we were at the event last week, and we were just talking about the integration field and the market, and we talked actually about. I asked the question to Ahmed regarding how can mapping specifications be such a big problem? But how can it be so time consuming?
Yes, because the mapping itself, the work itself is not much.
I mean, if you start with integrations and you see like this mapping demos, you see like a first name, last name to full name, and then you say, oh, that's mapping specification. But then you just real life, it's not first name, last name, full name. It's something else.
Well, the things I've seen is that when you're coming from some of these SaaS products, they have so much stuff interconnected, and you're trying to take that data somewhere, and that whole how they're connected and how you want to move that to the other system is the big challenges. And that's what this one's been. This particular one is that they thought they were connected one way. When we dove into the data, they're connected a completely different way. So then you have to go get additional data and additional tables and all of the ways that these stuff connects together.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest challenge with a lot of them, is that depending on the company you're working with is how well they know their systems.
Yeah.
Yes.
They know how to sit down and use them, but when you start trying to pull data out of them, they don't understand how it's all connected.